line, and I don't want to hold him up, but best of luck tomorrow, a Saturday rather, and enjoy the trip over there, and resist the temptation to sell your friend's car on the drive back. And let's hope Kiriaki gets the money.
Right on. Thank you, guys.
Dominic,
Thanks for having me.
I hope you come back and join us and let us know how it goes. It was a pleasure having you, and your story's phenomenal. I wish you the best. Best of luck.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Doug O'Neill. Senior, we're moving right along tonight. I don't mean to be rushing people. I don't mean to be rude. It's just not the easiest thing to keep the schedule the way it is. So let's patch Doug in. Good evening. You're on Racetrackers.
Hello. How are you guys?
Hey. Hi, Doug. So great to have you. Thank you so much.
It's so great to be on. It's wow, what an honor. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, Doug,
I've been talking to Charlotte. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. I've been talking to Charlotte, and I heard you've been keeping her busy over there. So.
Charlotte's the best. First and foremost, she's a horse lover. So she's such a great part of the team, and she constantly, it's all about the horses, whether they run last or first or 10,000 claimer or grade one. Charlotte loves them all, and she's such a great part of the team, and so blessed to have Charlotte with us.
Yeah, the way she rehomes the horses, I want to just tell the listeners that you guys are great, the way you rehome all your horses, and Charlotte's a big part of that, and just your social media accounts, Doug, are just so updated and always right to the minute on top of everything. Anyone that wanted to follow you and your racing, it's just awesome. I wanted to thank you and your team for doing that.
And that's all Charlotte. And believe me, we've always been, pro horses, but Charlotte's the one who actually, put what we said into action. So Charlotte, she's again a huge part of our team, and she puts all our good intentions. So we love Charlotte, and she's a great part of the team.
Thank you so much, Doug. That's great.
Thank you.
Well, Doug, you must be on top of the world. It seems like you're winning everything in sight. You have just a tremendous week or so, right? And certainly even before that. But what are the winners this week? Is it 6 out of 10? Is that what?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm not really sure, but we've had a great week, and we actually, I personally wasn't here the past weekend when we had 4 winners on Sunday, but Leandro Mora, who's the main man in the barn, he was here, and I actually had a few family things going on, but I was here today. We won 2 races today at Del Mar, and it's just such a great sport, and it's something that I feel like the luckiest guy in the world to be part of it, and I feel so blessed to be down here at Del Mar as we speak, and to be talking to you guys, and be sitting here on a two-win day. So life is good as we speak.
That's great. You're bumping up against 2,000 winners lifetime, and I guess we spoke a little earlier that Jerry Hollendale is bumping up against 7,000 winners, which is just amazing.
That's crazy. That's mind-boggling. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you have 5,000 more winners in you?
Probably not. No. Jerry and I've been blessed enough to get to know Jerry more the last year or so as he's kind of focused more in Southern California, and he's just such a his attention to detail and his horsemanship is second to none, and I know I can't even imagine what kind of energy it takes to get near 7,000 wins. So I feel like every now and then I feel a little depleted, and I'm not even at 2,000 wins. So, but it's really, I know firsthand it's all about the team. So obviously Team Hollendorfer is so strong, and they're up and down the coast of California, doing so well, and I have just the utmost respect for Team Hollendorfer, and I'm just honored to call him a friend, and hopefully he would say the same.
Oh, that's excellent, Doug. Doug, I wanted to ask you about your operation. How many horses you have? Do you have multiple strings? I mean, I know you have one of the largest barns in California. How many owners? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. We have just a little bit north of 90 horses. It fluctuates from 85 to 95 here in the last few months, but I think we're at like 93 to be exact. And
wow.
And we fluctuate from Santa Anita to Los Alamitos to Del Mar. With the new fall meet at Del Mar, which is a wonderful place if anybody gets a chance to go there. And so we've got about 20 here at Del Mar, and then we've got probably 35 or so at the other places at Santa Anita and Los Al. But and then as far as owners go, I probably about 30 of them are owned by Paul and Zilla Redham, and then the rest are owned by a variety of owners. But we've got from WC Josh Kaplan and Glenn Sorgenstein own a bunch, and so we've got a variety of owners of the rest, but it's something that we're very blessed to be part of, and we serve the horses, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it was really nice, Doug, to see Paul back in the winner's circle. I mean, I know he's had other horses, but something as large as that and Breeders' Cup weekend, especially after we were so used to seeing him with I'll Have Another. So it was congratulations to him. It was nice to see him again, really.
Honest to God, Paul is all the owners. Anybody who invests a dime in the business is wonderful, because the sport, it only survives on people who buy the horses and go through the highs and lows of getting horses ready to be race run. But Paul's been great, and Paul and Zilla have both been through so many highs and lows, and to get a horse like Nyquist to be undefeated and to do what he's done, it's truly amazing. And I was definitely worried, the race, the Breeders' Cup race being at Keeneland, the first time he's ever been on a plane and shipped out of town, and I've seen more times than not that's been a real killer on horses when they ship out of town for the first time, and to see him ship and handle everything like a total pro, and then to do what he did, being wide on both turns at Keeneland, it's one of those you really feel like the luckiest guy in the world to be part of a horse like Nyquist. He's a special horse for sure.
Well, Doug, I was lucky enough to be at Lexington, and on the previous shows, I've stated publicly what a great job I thought they did at Lexington. Everybody was afraid that it was going to be at Keeneland, rather. Everybody was afraid it was going to be small and crowded and cramped, and it was anything but. I found it comfortable at every level. But Nyquist race was just so impressive, because, as you say, he had nothing his own way. He broke a little flat-footed, and he wound up getting the worst of that first turn, and just as an observer, going into that first turn, I really thought it was too much for him to overcome. It just really was, just a tremendous effort, and
I agree. Yeah.
And I guess it showed even a little more than what he had showed in his previous efforts, because one of the tough things for horses to show their mettle is that they can overcome adversity, and he certainly did that. That was great. Now you were cheated out of a. I want to get back to Nyquist in a minute, but you were cheated out of another Breeders' Cup win by them taking the marathon off of the Breeders' Cup actual races and running it as the undercard or the aftercard, I guess, right?
I know. Who did that? I want to call his supervisor. Who made that decision? But no, I know that. That was when we saw that. Honestly, as you plan things in this business, usually things don't work out. But when we saw that distance dirt race on the undercard of the Breeders' Cup, we thought of Bailout Bobby long time ago, and for for him to stay injury free, for him to fly over there, and the owners were so cool about. I think he had about 60 days, if not more, so between his last race and the marathon there, and they were cool with paying all the expenses up until then, and just that was honestly a great feeling, seeing the way he ran, and Joel Rosario, who rode him for the first time, rode him like he had known him his whole life, and that was a pretty special moment to see Bela Bobby win that marathon.
Well, that's the long distance races are Dina's thing, and Dina, a mile and 3/4. That's certainly a race where training is everything.
That's for sure.
Wow.
And Doug, I was curious. I understand Darley bought the breeding rights to Nyquist. Have they purchased them now, or will it be after his career racing?
They bought half interest of his breeding rights now, and then the rest will happen after he's done racing. But I haven't actually seen the contract that Darley and the Redhams have signed, but I have talked to Dan of Darley, who's a wonderful man, and they got a great operation. I was able to tour Darley while I was back there at Keeneland, and it's just holy mackerel. I mean, if you think 5-star hotel, think 5-star farm. Darley is just that. So, thinking Nyquist will be lucky enough to stand at Darley down the road is just a real credit to Team Redham and a real blessing for Nyquist. And stay tuned on that. Whether that happens in a year or 2 years, I'm not sure, but. Yeah, when he is retired, he'll be lucky enough to call Darley his home.
Oh, that's phenomenal. What a paradise, exactly. Best of luck with that, too. That's excellent.
He will clearly be the 2-year-old champion, and with that comes a couple of things. One, I guess you have to have a tuxedo for the Eclipse Awards to go down in January. So that's always a good thing when you need to have a tuxedo. That's always a good thing. And I wore mine last week, and I'm happy to say I've had it 20 years and I can still fit in it. But that's always a.
I wish I could say that.
That's always a positive, but obviously that's going to be a lot of excitement for you, and that's wonderful. With that though comes of course the pressure, having an undefeated 2-year-old and going into the classics. Have you mapped out in your mind a thought as to how to get there?
We've talked a little bit about it, and we got so blessed in 2012 that I'll have another, and I think in an ideal world. Team Redham and Team O'Neill agree that, just a couple preps is probably ideal going into the Derby, because the Derby is a grind, and then if you get lucky enough and run big in the Derby and you want to run the Preakness, that's a grind. And if you get lucky enough and run good in the Preakness, the Belmont's a grind. So you really need a fresh, a horse going into the Derby. So that being said, the game plan is 2 preps. What those 2 preps are is uncertain, but I'm fairly certain the first prep will be somewhere at Santa Anita, and then we'll just kind of play that by ear. But Nyquist is doing fantastic, and we're just walking the shed row 3 times a day, and we've cut his grain down a little bit, and he looks like a horse that you could put your grandkid on right now, but. Once we get him back on full grain and back onto the track, he's like you said, he'll most likely be the 2-year-old champion, and how blessed are we?
That's phenomenal. Bill, I didn't know if you wanted to ask, but I just got a quick text, Doug, from Parker, and I wanted to thank you also for what you've done for Parker and his whole cause, and how Charlotte and you have reached out to the industry. And he's in love with Lava Man, loves you, and he just wanted me to just text me right now and said that he wanted to say your barn's on fire and you're going to win it on Saturday. He said so. He said good luck to you, and he hopes to be by your barn when he gets back home from Houston after treatment.
I honestly, that's the inspiration. Those are the friends that you meet along the way that just those are priceless. And I love Parker, and Charlotte's been such a huge asset in so many ways in the horse world, but also in the people world. And you know, it's so thank you for mentioning that. And we're with you, Parker, and we love you, and can't wait for you to get back from Houston. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Parker has become a correspondent on our show, and he admitted to us last week that he's not doing much of his homework. So we gave him the homework tonight to research.
He's a Wolf Blitzer. He's our Wolf Blitzer of horse racing.
That's right, exactly.
Bill's getting him into some handicapping now, so.
Well, you'll be happy to know.
Doing his homework.
Yeah, we'll move to your horse in the Delta Jackpot in a minute, but you'll be happy to know Parker picked him on top, so that's always a good thing. But before we move on to Found Money, who's your horse in the Delta Jackpot, we'd be remiss if we didn't speak about some of the tremendous horses you've had in the past. You know, Golden Sense, Breeders' Cup winner, and of course I'll Have Another, and Lava Man. I mean, I guess it bears repeating for our listeners that you claimed Lava Man for $50,000 and won $5 million with him. Just the dream of all. The dream of all dreams for small time players. But tell us, where are they? Where are they now? Can you give us a little update on them?
Well, you know, Golden Sense, he's a happy camper and a lucky camper, and that was Glenn Sorgenstein and Josh Kaplan at WC, and they were so particular where he would end up standing stud, and they chose Spendthrift, and I mean Spendthrift that's a 5-star hotel for a horse, so he's in heaven there at Spendthrift. He's got a lot of mares booked to him, and the mares in full to Golden Sense are selling well, so, you know, we can't wait. He had speed, he had stamina, he had class, and I really think Golden Sense is going to be a tremendous stallion, but until they, you know, hit the track running, you never know, but he sure had all the tools in my mind to be a tremendous stallion, and you know, with Lava Man, yeah, he was just a blue collar special. You know, he maybe the pedigree wasn't you know, blue blood type of pedigree, but you know, he had that Pete Rose type of I'm gonna slide head first in the home plate and take you out type of thing. He was just a minded, wanting to win type of horse, and we're so blessed with Steve Kenley and Jason Wood let us keep him as a pony horse at one of our tracks here at Los Alamitos, and Saba Cervera gets on him on a daily basis, and he's a happy horse doing great and still serving us on a daily basis, and then I'll Have Another is in Japan. He's in a 5-star hotel in Japan, servicing a lot of mares and a happy camper. So we've been very blessed and you know, just very, very, very lucky at this point.
You know, speaking of that's thank you for the update. That's great. And speaking of Japan, that the world has changed so much, Doug. You and I are similar age, and it's changed so much how much exposure racing has now compared to what it was when we first grew up. And I wound up being up late the other night, and one of our listeners, Candace Hare, is a handicapper, and she tweeted out a compelling case for a horse to win the QE2 race in Japan, and it was 2 a.m. and not only could I get it on my TV, I could make a bet, and she gave me a $29 winner, and it was.
Oh my God!
You know, the world has changed so much where you couldn't get information about a racetrack around the block from you. That now that you just get it everywhere, and it's just I think it's really
crazy.
Leading, you know, to a renaissance of the game, because you can pretty much follow, you know, Japanese racing for that matter. You know, it's just you know.
I know. No, it is crazy.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, it is. It's with social media and the internet. It's crazy how small of a world we're living in.
We had one of our previous guests was Jimmy Jerkins, of course, the son of Alan Jerkins, and we discussed with him and we discussed with Dale Romans how different the game has become with owners who are part of partnerships, and that really the best way to keep in touch with them. And we had Terry Finley from West Point, and the best way to keep in touch with everyone is through the internet and through either social media or by email, and it's just so different than it was, 30 or 40 years ago. And Jimmy Jerkins recounted a story where Jack Dreyfus from Hobo Farm was his biggest client, and not only did Mr. Dreyfus not know the horse was running, he wasn't even sure he had bought him, because all of that was delegated to Alan Jerkins, and it was you got an update once a week or once a month, and it was just so different. I guess, do you deal with many partnerships as owners, or public partnerships, or any of those?
I do, and my brother Dennis is a huge part of partnerships that we put together, and so it's a challenge. Yeah, it is a different era. I talked to some of the older trainers who, they were even before the pagers were around, and there was no telephones in the barn area, and you train your horses, and when they were in, you called the owners from your home phone and told them they were in. So it is a different age nowadays, but it's also, I think it's a good age, and it's something that again, I'm blessed with my brother Dennis, and we got Charla at the barn, and so you're able to get information to owners very quickly, whether it be email or phone calls, whatever, so we definitely have partnerships, and Dennis and Charla would get the credit for keeping those things alive and healthy.
Well, that's great. And now, Dina, I know you have a few questions from listeners. And Doug, before we let you go, I want to ask a question about Rallis and how he's doing. I saw him win up in Saratoga, and I was greatly impressed by him. And I know he tailed off a little. Is he still in training?
He is actually. We kicked him out to a farm for a few weeks. He just seemed a little beat up after the hopeful win, and. So we're hoping to refreshen him and get him back against Calbreds and kind of recalibrate him and get him going. He's a son of Square Eddie, which all the Square Eddies can really run, and he's Square Eddie's chestnut. A lot of Square Eddies are chestnut. He's a big bay, long, scopy bay. So he's kind of a little bit, off the wall that way, and he ran so well in the hopeful, and so we're just trying to recalibrate him, get him going, and we know he's got tons of talent, that's for sure.
Oh, good. Well, before I said that was the last question, but I forget. We have to speak about the Delta Jackpot. You have a homebred by Square Eddie in Found Money running in the Delta Jackpot for $1 million. I mean, that's got to be a tremendous opportunity for a runner for $1 million with a homebred and a California bred to boot. Tell us about that horse, if you don't mind.
Well, he looks a lot like his father. He's a chestnut. He's a tough-minded, want to beat you kind of horse, and he ran his best race of his life so far in his last race, going 7 furlongs. So we're hoping he can stretch it to 2 turns. He's been there a few days, and I sent my assistant Salvas Rivera, gets on Lava Man every day, and his groom, and then his exercise rider. They're all with him as we speak, and I spoke to them a couple hours ago, and they're just raving about how well Found Money is doing there at Delta, and I think he's going to run big. Obviously, Keith Soma's horse, Exaggerators, he's got every right to be the heavy favorite. He's coming out of the best races, but Found Money's got speed, he's got class, he's got something that you can never train, or you luck into it. He's got heart, and I think he's got a big chance.
Well, that's great, and I know that's a racetrack with tight turns and a bit of a bull ring, and you need a little luck in that. But certainly $1 million is if they put up $1 million this time of year, they attract attract everybody, and it's also I guess some win and you're in points as far as the classics go. So, but again, with a homebred from California, that would just be a tremendous feather in your cap. Dina,
Very cool.
Dina, do you have a few questions for people?
I do. I'm sorry, Doug, but we had two people that messaged me, and one was from Keta. She's on Twitter, and she wanted to know which exciting Derby prospects would you say are in your stable. I guess she wants to know who you're looking at favorably at this point.
I would say probably the two would be Nyquist, of course, who is undefeated, and then a new shooter named Sorry About Nothing. He's a horse that just won last weekend. He's a son of Repent, and he's a big, good-looking colt. And so I would say Nyquist and Sorry About Nothing are our two hopefuls.
Oh, awesome, Doug. And my last question was from Belle, also on Twitter. She's a big fan of Lava Man. She wanted to thank you. She said that you were posting some great videos of him when he retired. She was following him, and she wanted to know how long it actually took him to adjust to being a pony. How'd you do it? And was he into that, I guess, when he first was retired? Was he still feeling like he was a racehorse?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have to credit Jason Wood and Steve Kenley, who own Lava Man, who were kind enough to let us give it a go. And then Salvas Rivera, one of our assistants, who's a great horseman, hours a day, putting the Western saddle on him and re-breaking him. And it probably took about 6 months to really get him to give it up and realize he was there to be a coach and not be a competitor. And so we even got a saddle towel that says Hall of Fame Coach Lava Man, and he really is. He's a huge asset to us on a daily basis. So we're very blessed to have him do what he does for us every day.
Oh, that's awesome, Doug. Thank you so much. Really, that's phenomenal.
Of course.
Well,
thank
Doug,
you.
we know this. We know this is dinner time out in California, so we know you had a long day at Del Mar, and we're New York centric, so we try to spread it around because we have a lot of listeners in California, and thanks so much for being on here. We've never had the pleasure of meeting, but when I asked someone about you, I forget who it was, they said he's a great guy. You'd love to have a beer with him. Well, we haven't done that, but we've done the next best thing here, and I thank you for your time, and certainly our listeners do, and we
it's my honor.
Hope
it's my pleasure, my honor. I really appreciate you guys asking me to be on, and anytime, and look forward to you guys. If you guys ever come out to California, we'd love to have you at the barn, and we can broadcast from the barn.
Oh, that would be awesome, Doug. Thank you. And we'd love to have you back, too. We really appreciate it. It's been so awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Take care. You guys have a great night.
You too. Enjoy Del Mar.
Okay,